What would you say is the most egregious mistake preachers make?
I don't know. I think it's ministers think if I read one more book or listen to one more lecture or go hear one more preacher, I'll come up with a style that's really effective. And not being patient enough to find your own voice. There comes a time when you have to quit reading sermons and listening to sermons and preach. Otherwise, you're surrounded by all the instruments in the orchestra and you don't know what instruments you play. It was not till I accepted the fact that I'm a piccolo and don't have to try to be a bass drum or a trombone or anything else. I really couldn't make any progress at all. So if you have been called to preach, you've been called to instrumentation of the message in a certain way, unique to you. So find that. Not be in a hurry to be like this one or that one, or eating off other people's plate. I'm not talking about plagiarism. I'm just talking about a lot of good stuff and I don't know what to do with it, so I'll just bring it in. And the people ask, who are you? I mean, Jesus I know and Paul I know, but who are you? Deal with that quite early, I think, is important.
Your successor at Candler, Tom Long, wrote an article in the Christian Century a couple of years ago now on plagiarism in sermons, and it got quite a lot of response. I think surprising to him was the fact that a lot of preachers were defending the practice. And you talked about being honest and using sermons, but giving credit and explaining that. But do you have any further thoughts about the issue of plagiarism in sermons?
You know, we're dealing, with a matter of degrees because I'm a part of all I ever met and read. And for instance, I spent years studying and for 4 years taught Shakespeare. And sometimes there'll be a line from Shakespeare or a stanza from his sonnet or something like that. And I don't even know that I did it, and I don't footnote it. Well, it can happen with something else. So it's a matter of degrees. If it is common public domain material, no problem. But if you preached an extraordinary sermon in Richmond, Virginia, and I was there, but none of my folk were there, then I think I can get away with it. You're on thin ice. You don't get away with it because you know what you're doing. And we don't want to get engaged in anything that dulls the edge of our appetite for preaching or our ability to preach. I don't want to look around in the room and wonder, is anybody here who's heard this before? It's not only embarrassing, it's painful. And it's unnecessary. It's so unnecessary, yeah.
What about using notes? What do you say about the use of notes in preaching?
I think every preacher ought to be skilled at preaching with manuscript, with notes, or with no notes. And some occasions call for it. If you're on a controversial issue, you should have full manuscript and walk out there and lay it open in such a way ostentatiously so that everybody says, uh-oh, this must be really big. He's got the manuscript there. They may want copies. Somebody may say, you said, no, yeah, you didn't say that. Here it is, read it. I didn't say that. Other times you need some notes because there's a lot of tiptoeing and maneuvering in the sermon to get through it. But usually, if you prepare for delivery rather than for writing, you will know it by the time you get through preparing. And you don't need those notes. You want to have a maximum content with a minimal loss of contact with the listener. You'll have to work the formula out. But I would not in any way want anybody to believe that you sort of graduate, starting off with manuscript, I'm totally dependent on it, then I move to notes, then I move to no notes. Look, Ma, no notes. That's not the way it works. A preacher ordinarily without notes sometimes should have the whole thing written out. You'll know which is best at the time.
This is an election year, and several people want to know, should preachers talk about that? And if so, how?
Well, there's some things that I say about election year things. One is urge people to exercise a freedom that your brothers and sisters in the Roman Empire at the time of the New Testament didn't have anything to say, were not heard, had no voice, no vote, anything. And they acted courageously, but the only thing left to them was rebellion. You have a chance for changing things by voting. If you don't vote, then don't talk about it. I urge them also, where is it that the gospel meets the community at large? What are the things that Jesus would have us talk about? And therefore, we want some candidate who has the same passion about those issues. I do not mention candidates in particular or party, political party in particular. Some people may try to guess by the issues I think are very, very important concerning care for people. I think the primary function of government is to care for people who can't care for themselves. And I talk about that, but I don't say, so let's all go down and vote for X or Y.
You could get into trouble for that.
Yeah.